Hello. Today is March 3rd, and this is the 2015 Facilities Geospatial Technology Showcase. This 6-month webinar series is hosted by the Campus Facilities Technology Association and organized by the University of Kentucky. I'm Michelle Ellington, and thank you to all of our 44 attendees joining us today. Today's webinar is being recorded. Both the recording and slides will be available on the CFTA website. The presentation is estimated to run 45 minutes with the remaining time dedicated for Q&A. Feel free to send any questions during the presentation using the questions dialog box. Your question will be added to the queue and answered at the end or as time allows. I want to extend a special thank you to today's presenter, Neil Vacour. Neil serves as a senior physical planner for the University of Massachusetts Amherst campus planning. Niels will be presenting on how sustainability is driving application development and need for GIS at the UMass Amherst campus. Niels, thank you so much for being here today.
You're very welcome, Michelle, and thank you and thank the CFTA for organizing this webinar series. I've certainly enjoyed the ones so far, and I'm looking forward to the others that are on the schedule. And I hope that today's presentation will provide some value to the audience. As you can see from my slide here, UMass is sort of a medium-sized university with 28,000 students, 1,300 full-time faculty, 5,000 employees, and 12.5 million square feet, and about 200 major buildings on a 1,450-acre campus. Our GIS efforts at UMass are really the fruits of one full-time employee, our GIS architect. Luckily, he's an outstanding person and brilliant. And then he gets a lot of support from people like me in campus planning, design and construction management, and physical plan. And what I'd like to do today, really communication and collaboration is what it's all about. And originally I wanted to show you a 2-minute video about sustainable UMass, but some last-minute technical glitches are going to keep me from doing that. So I'll tell you a little bit about it instead. And then I wanted to get into the institutional structure for sustainability here at UMass. And that sort of sets the stage for why I will argue that GIS is the preferred platform for sustainability, and then I'll get into some of the current infrastructure and efforts. And communication and collaboration is what it's all about, and I would especially like to thank my colleagues for their collaboration and contributions on this presentation, from our GIS architect, Dr. Alexander Stepanov, my fellow planners, Ludmila Pavlova, Jonathan Kontrak, and Lukasz Czerniczki. So unfortunately, I'm missing the wonderful 2-minute glossy video of all the wonderful things that UMass does for sustainability. From our food services, where we've joined the Real Food Challenge, and we basically provide 20% of our food is locally grown and locally sourced. We compost everything, and sustainability really permeates everything that we do on campus, and we've got a STARS Gold rating, and we're in the top 10, and it's been great that we've gotten a lot of recognition for our efforts. It's at sustainability nationally and internationally, and we've even gotten an EPA award for an Energy Star award for our central heating plant. So hopefully you can log on our website if you're interested and find out a lot more about sustainability at UMass. It really is wonderful to see that it permeates everything we do. And one of the things about that video is our chancellor plays a very prominent role. And so that leadership and commitment to sustainability comes from the very top. And the chancellor has formed an executive team on sustainability that really crosses the boundaries of the academic and operations sides of the house. And really what you can see here is while we have both academics on the executive team, we also have an awful lot of the operations people, including 3 of the major divisions of facilities and campus services, which is campus planning, construction, design and construction management, and physical plant. But what is really fascinating, and what the message I really want to make sure I get across today, is the fact that what's wonderful about sustainability is we can see that the missions of all our missions, from teaching, research, and operations, are all aligning around sustainability. And it's wonderful to see how many different aspects of our organization are really working towards these sustainable goals that we have. The implementation subcommittee is also sort of similar in structure, where we have both academic and operations people working together on the many different programs that we have throughout the university around sustainability, from all the recycling and green office programs to the you know, all the way to how we run our energy plants and things like that. So it's a again, it's a all hands on deck, multifaceted operation, and I think that's, you know, that cross-cultural makeup of the organizational structure is really necessitated by the complexity of the issues around sustainability. It's a very complex issue, and to deal with that requires a systematic approach with knowledge, awareness, and action that is where the capabilities of GIS, I think, really come into play. And, you know, the measuring, monitoring, manipulation, and analyzing of data from so many different sources, the display, the visualization, and the communication of all this different data is really what I would argue makes GIS the preferred platform. So our vision for GIS here at the University of Massachusetts is to really create a fully integrated knowledge and information management system to provide decision support for anybody that needs it, basically utilizing a centralized data warehouse that is kept up to date and alive and vibrant through well-established workflows and business practices, served out to people through easy-to-use web-based tools, and using 3D and visualization tools to make sure that the right people get the right access to the right information with the right tools so that they can make their better decisions. So we look at the campus as a set of systems, and together they all really make this place work. So we have been developing our set of GIS applications based around these different systems, and you can see here this is the landing page for our staff web GIS viewer that we're currently doing sort of a soft rollout among some particular people within all of the facilities and campus services from each different division to sort of give us some feedback on, is this going to be useful to you, what other kinds of things would you like things to do, and how do we make it better so that it helps you do your job. So, of course, complexity is multi-layered, and if you can also think of each building as being made up of a system, many different systems, and that's just the physical aspect. But buildings also contain all kinds of different levels of programming for the things that go on within them. So, which is why UMass has invested heavily in our space management system, which we recently migrated from a homegrown system to TriRiga, which is now owned by IBM. And while TriRiga is the authoritative source for space data, and it's the repository for the data, we have taken all of our floor plans and georeferenced them and modeled them within the GIS so that we can pull all that data into 2D or 3D GIS to help visualize it. One of the big things that came out of our master plan process was our mantra to create campus, not just build buildings. So the open space between the buildings is also very important, and not only for creating a sense of place, but for fostering a better educational experience. And this is especially true since our campus is also home to an arboretum, an awful lot of significant trees that are used for teaching and research, including green infrastructure for stormwater management. So this is another screenshot from our staff GIS viewer, And so that you can see that even if we do have to cut down a bunch of trees to put in a new building, at least we have some record of what was there and what we need to replace to keep the teaching Arboretum alive. Transportation represents another major area where we were trying to transform the complexities into more, or the campus into a much more pedestrian-friendly environment, promoting alternative transportation. Here in UMass Amherst, we're very lucky to have a great public transit bus system where you can just hop on the bus and ride for free, which is run fully by UMass Transit, and it's all basically student run. All the drivers and everybody involved are students. And transportation services are always looking for ways to reduce pavement and save energy. And as part of that, we have now are working to integrate a system, pavement management system, which was developed by VHB Engineering Company. It's basically a extension to our GIS. They went out and did a survey of all of the pavement condition of all the sidewalks, roads, parking lots on campus. This extension to ArcGIS keeps track of a pavement condition index. It has all the algorithms to help develop capital budgets and keep on the pavement management. What we're trying to do is migrate from the sort of capital-based approach. Well, when it falls apart, we have to rebuild it, to much more of a maintenance approach. Where if we can keep up with the little things, that we can get a lot more life out of the pavement. And this all saves an awful lot of money and energy in the system. So we also recently completed an energy master plan, and we are hoping to be able to take all of the data that we got from that to help us manage our utilities more effectively and efficiently. We have the Governor's Executive Order 484, which set goals for energy use and greenhouse gas emissions. And so we're working hard to be able to bring all of the data that we have on our utilities together into one place, including info on size, condition, installation dates. We do an annual infrared flyover to find out where all the hotspots are, and trying to bring all of this data into the fingertips of the folks that run the system, so that they can use this kind of information to tell the story, and hopefully get the appropriate capital resources to be able to operate that system sustainably. And there are all the other infrastructure pieces that make up a campus and keep it functioning. We have some graduate students working with the UMass Police Department on a light pole inventory, so we can look at all the light poles and the lights installed, find out the light patterns on the ground, and where we might have dark areas on campus. UMPD is also in the process of implementing a crime mapping system, and so one of the things we're interested in to see if there's any correlation between the environment on campus and the crime statistics. So what ultimately makes all of this function really are the workflows, the people and process components of a GIS. And while we've done a whole lot of innovative stuff here on the bottom, where you can see using extract, transform, and load or data interoperability processes to pull in data from all these different sources across campus into a centralized database, then we can use all of the analytical and visualization tools of GIS and serve that out on the web surfaces. And like I said, we've done a lot of interesting stuff with the data interoperability and the workflows, but we still have a long way to go on the people and processes. That's where I admire Michelle and the work they've done at UK for really building that foundation from the ground up. And This is sort of just an example of the data interoperability workbench. It's a very simple example where it shows you how you have your sources, where you extract your data from. You have your transformers that say, allow you to do things to that information, and then very carefully put it into the destinations where you're going to load it into the other database. Some of the this is, again, I said it was a very simple example of the data interoperability workbench. Some of the workflows that these guys create look much more like spider webs, and but that's a story for another time. That's something that really provides the backbone of a lot of what we do, and my colleagues Alexander Stepanoff and Jonathan Contract are going to provide more information about that in the May presentation webinar coming up in May, so I hope you'll be able to tune in for that. This is just a schematic of the hardware platform that we were very fortunate enough to have already procured and have in place, where we use a couple of virtual servers in the background to work on the data, manipulate the data, and get it all set up in the development and testing environment, and then move it up into the production environment. So we have a real nice SAN storage space for it. And then up in our OIT server rooms, we have a set of 4 IBM Blade servers, which work to then serve out that data. So we have 2 GIS servers that provide GIS services behind the firewall, and then we have 2 web servers that then serve it out to either the public web services or basically our intranet, the staff viewers that we have available. So we're lucky to have some pretty serious horsepower behind us to support what we're doing. So some of the things we have are an interactive student portal web map. This is a simple map based on Esri's community-based map program, and it's an interactive map that allows people to help find buildings, bus stops, cafes, and other things on campus. And what we're mostly working on really is trying to get things up and ready for our staff and supporting our operations. So this is an early prototype of our staff viewer, which is a product called the General Purpose Viewer. It's created by a company out of Boston called Applied Geographics, and it's a stored procedures based program. So it's a front end for ArcGIS services, so it provides the platform to serve out the ArcGIS services. And so it's a great little application where it has the map and all the ways to zoom and pan and see things. It's got areas to do selection and searches for things, and then it's got a sort of a data window down here. So for instance, on these, we've been taking all of our surveyors' photos where we know where he's taking the photo from, where he's looking at, and then you can click on and get an idea of what the picture is. I know a lot of our utility folks are really grateful to get this information. And another really neat thing that we've been doing is trying to download the brain of our surveyor who's already retired a couple of times. And he has created a AutoCAD drawing with all these little notes for electric jobs, water jobs, steam jobs, and all that kind of stuff. And through the data interoperability extension in FME, we figured out ways to harvest those notes that give us the contract number, the date, and some descriptive information about what those contracts are. And through that, we can then link it to the scanned drawings from those contracts that have been archived in our archives. Really trying to, again, put all of that information at people's fingertips so they can see it and get access to it without having to then get up from their desk and go to the room. But what I find really the most valuable and the most compelling thing for GIS as a platform for sustainability is really as a communication tool. And one of the neat features of the general purpose viewer is this markup capability. So you can go over to the markup tab and create a new markup. It's got some basic tools to then, let's say we have a new project coming here. I'm going to draw in the project area where the construction fencing is going to go. I can add some notes. I can tell things to, and then I can hit this little mail button up here, and what it does is it opens up Outlook and creates a email with a link on it. So when the person I send that email to clicks on the link, basically it brings them right back to this instance in the database. So that everybody is working off the same data, seeing the same stuff, and boy, what a concept that is to have, everybody working off. But really, I think during our campus master planning process was when I saw really the power of GIS as playing an important role in communication. We knew that we wanted to make sure we had plenty of involvement from the student community. We know that students tend to be a very hard to reach population. They don't often want to go out in evenings or come to meetings, but we need to contact them somehow. So we knew that we had to have some type of web presence, and so we created a couple of applications. First one, as part of our idea gathering process, was the likes and dislikes survey. So this was a wonderful application built on Esri's, Esri's community base map program. Because at the time we didn't have that nice hardware infrastructure I was showing you earlier. So we had to come up with something where we didn't have to have the services for. So this was a nice, easy to configure way to set up this online web mapping tool. And once we spent a day in the campus center demoing this to people that stopped by. We had a little kiosk that got attention about the master plan. I kept showing people this application. They go like, wow, this is really cool. I want to try that. And then they told their friends, and pretty soon we had hundreds and hundreds of hits on the website. And that allowed us to find out what people like on campus. And obviously they like the outdoor spaces and nice plantings and views. You can see our campus pond is very, very much loved part of our campus. We also did get a little bit of bias here from all of those folks doing the permaculture garden and trying to get that, the White House Award for Agents of Change, for the White House Award for that. So they skewed the results a little bit. So suddenly our little permaculture garden shows up as a real green spot there. But it is a nice place. And we also had it so you could red thumbs down and tell us what you don't like about campus. And we heard an awful lot about the tired old buildings that need to be demolished and replaced, the pedestrian and vehicular conflicts. But what I'm really happy to say is that our biggest red areas here, this red area here is our old coal-fired campus power plant, combined heat power plant, which is luckily now already gone and has become a parking lot and opened up tremendous views to the west from campus. And our dark and dingy 1970s Breuer campus center that everybody complained about has been completely remodeled inside with lots of new lighting and wood, and everybody likes it much better now. So that's always wonderful to see. But what was, I think, the most important piece about having these applications is not only did they get the students involved, but we were able to document what they said. And so what you can see in this Wordle that we created from the database of what we got for comments is that making place in campus is very important, which really reinforced the mantra we had going into it, which is that we have to build campus, not just build buildings. So I think that was one of the things that people really liked about the master plan, was that they felt like they were heard. So once we developed the draft master plan, we created another application called the Master Plan Explorer. And you can access this on the web. You can see this is we started out with an introductory slideshow, so you could go through the slides. It would tell you a little bit about the process, why it was important, how we went about it, and how to use the application. And this was, again, another application built on Esri's community base map program, where we georeferenced a copy of our master plan and put it over the existing map. So you had a little slider here, a transparency slider, so you could actually go from what is the current situation to what is the future situation, see the changes of the two. You had various other queries that you could do and options you could do. Or you could just simply take your little mouse and cruise around, and as you moused over certain places, an area would highlight. It would give you a name of the project. If you were interested, you could click on that project area, and it would give you a much more full description, a 500-word description of the project. And then, of course, most importantly, you could also add your comments. And I think the real wonderful moment for me was when we were giving the Chancellor and his Executive Oversight Committee the final presentation of the master plan and to get his approval. And at the end of the presentation, the Chancellor said, well, what impresses me most about this master plan is how much buy-in it has from so many different quarters of the campus community. That was, boy, that's music to planners' ears, is to know that we did our outreach. You know, we had an awful lot of 300 events and hundreds of hours of meetings, but that outreach really worked. And I think that the online GIS applications really had a lot to do with getting people involved in that process. So we're continuing to try to keep that master plan alive and a dynamic document that people are interested in. So one of the latest things we've come up with was the master plan story map. So you can sort of go through the master plan and see the projects that are happening, that recently happened, that are happening. You get a picture of them, like our research and education greenhouses, or you can go along the storyboard along the bottom and find out about new projects. But this has been a particularly great tool to engage alumni with, and the idea for it came out of an afternoon of giving the alumni tours and having some of these alumni be completely disoriented by the campus and the amount of new construction and building that's gone on, especially if they missed the last building boom before this latest building boom. So the idea of this story map of the campus plan came up, and it's been a great tool for outreach to alumni and getting them involved. But what, again, I think is the most important and wonderful thing to see that's happening on our campus is the fact that sustainability is permeating everything we do. And it's really, again, aligning all the missions of our teaching, research, and operations around the goal of using less energy and making things better and working more efficiently. And so a lot of the efforts, we're very lucky in campus planning, so we have over 6 graduate research assistants doing various work on sustainability. One of the first efforts that they did, this is a snapshot of the sustainability website, is they created the Sustainability Explorer. The Sustainability Explorer basically provided a way to look at find out all the wonderful sustainability projects that were going on campus and find out information about them. Some of these students also worked hard on developing a whole set of analytical tools in GIS to assist in calculating LEED points for new projects. So trying to come up with all those requirements got a lot easier when we started doing that. We've also done some solar panel siting studies where we combined the analytical power of GIS with some of our pictometry imagery, which gave us sort of the areas on the roofs that could handle solar panels, and then that gave us, came up with a method of sort of prioritizing where those solar panels ought to be. We've also recently tried calculating our Scope 3 GHG emissions. Where do all our faculty, staff, and students live? How far do they drive? What does their travel have to do with our carbon footprint? How do we work to help those goals? And this is one of those efforts that I'm really happy about. This is a graduate student in physical plant who's an arborist. Basically created the Waugh Arboretum viewer in his effort to allow the campus to be much more aware of the Arboretum, all the wonderful champion trees that we have on campus, and really provide some support for the use of the plant materials for teaching and research. This is one of the reasons why we want to explore more of Esri's new ArcGIS portal, because we think that'll help allow us to create more opportunities for students to be able to do this kind of work. We've also recently completed, as I said before, an energy master plan, which pulled together a ton of information about our utility systems and our building energy use. We were very lucky to have a couple of PhD students working in campus planning. They're doing their thesis on being able to monitor and define the metabolism of the city, and are using campus as a lab. And GIS has been a very important part of their project work. And one of the things they created was the energy benchmark floor. So taking the buildings that we have meter data for and allowing people to view those and what's going on with them. They're also working with a few other ways to try to help visualize that energy use. So here using City Engine to extrude the buildings based on their energy use, and what you can see here is that our green dining commons are by far some of the biggest energy hogs we have on campus. We also have students and staff constantly playing around with City Engine and exploring ways to take our space data and help people visualize that better. We obviously are would love to work towards developing better space optimization, and boy, if we can break that code and do optimization so well that we save ourselves from building a new building, then we will certainly have done sustainability proud by that effort. So that's why I really think that communication and visualization, GIS as a communication, visualization, and collaboration tool is really the platform that we want to pursue for sustainability. So really, GIS at UMass is all about sustainability. And I, of course, flew through my presentation pretty fast, but hopefully that allows us plenty of time for questions and answers.
Thank you, Niels. That was phenomenal. Bravo. I think that, through your master plan visualization tools and the multiple other systems you showed, I honestly feel you are achieving what many of us dream of. I personally was very impressed with the diversity of the tools that you offer. There is multiple levels of analysis, and you're disseminating the information through a variety of technologies, from the interactive web map to emails, and your systems really look seamless throughout. So my question is, how many homegrown systems did we see in this very quick presentation versus which were contracted out? And what are the pros and cons with making the choice on which path to go down with this?
Yes, that's there we get into the difference between out of the box configurable and what's the other one? So our basic staff GIS viewer is based on a product, the general purpose viewer, which is produced by Applied Geographics out of Boston. And while it gives you certain tools out of the box, you really have to configure all the stored procedures to be able to do all this stuff on top. It's a very easy environment to work with, and it's amazing how fast you can develop different applications once you get set up and understand it and do it. For example, a few years ago, we had a historic inventory done of the whole campus where the architectural consultants surveyed all the buildings over 50 years, took pictures, did a whole huge database, put everything in an access database tied to the building number. And when they delivered the final product with that access database with the building number, that building number allowed us then to tie it to the buildings on campus. And within 2 hours, Sasha, or Alexander Stepanov, had developed a new viewer of our historic properties in this general purpose viewer. So it's a wonderful platform to be working on. We're lucky to have the expertise. I know there are some other good products out there like Envision from Penn Bay that I know we're interested in taking a look at, and other folks might be interested. And we also really, I mean, we're all blessed that we get this wonderful academic license from ESRI, and that really saved us in doing those master plan applications, because we were just about to buy a new server and set up a new server environment just within, that's when we were facilities and campus planning all together. And then we were told that we were going to get reorganized into facilities and campus services, and all of us were going to get put in different places. And so the sort of all of the program around setting up that server environment got put on hold, and then we ended up getting going on the master plan. So here we were basically without any viable server, but knowing that we needed to do some type of web application. So having that cloud, based solution from Esri that was very easily configurable and easy to, they give you the templates. So within a few weeks we were able to develop those types of applications. So we kind of like those wonderful tools that give you a base to work from, and then allow you to configure it to do your own specific needs. And we're lucky that we really haven't had any, we've had the in-house expertise to be able to do that kind of stuff on our own without having to bring consultants in.
Absolutely. Now, do you maintain the base map?
Yes, we do maintain the base map. We have been in partnership with the town of Amherst, and to do regular flyovers. Although the trouble is our campus changes so fast that every 5 to 10 years is not soon enough for a flyover. So we're struggling with how to keep that up to date. We really, that's where our surveyor really comes in handy. He's the person in physical plan, in design and construction management that is an important piece of our GIS people here at UMass Amherst, in that we use his survey data to help keep our data up to date.
Great. I have a question here. It's kind of a second level to the whole application question here from Mary Jo Brown. She asks how many GIS viewers are available to the public from off campus, and if you can provide any links to these.
Not so much yet. Really, the student portal is the only one that we, well, actually that's not true. I mean, the links to the master planning stuff are available through our campus master planning website, but they don't really give you sort of that current data. So we have the one through the student UMass portal that all the students can do, and we're continually trying to upgrade and improve that, and be able to put more information on it in terms of giving people the ability to search for more. So again, this is where we're very good at thinking way ahead and wondering about dreaming about all these wonderful things we want to do, but we are still lacking in some of the basic functionality of building a system like you've done down there at UK. You know, we really do need to do some basic fundamental work on our basic foundation, and I think that's one area where we really need to do that in, is to provide more applications for the public.
What about your story
again,
map?
part of that is the fact that we don't really have a whole lot of resources here. It's frustrating to see the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars we spend on TRIRIGA for our space management, and yet we don't have very many people or resources working on the GIS. So
Well,
we're in the process of.
It's amazing what you've done with limited resources. You know, I think we all always say we have limited resources, but what you just showed with a handful of people, that you're moving mountains, really. Now, George Daly does kind of ask, what about the story maps, and if any of those are public facing? And he also wants to say, great job to you and your team.
Oh, great, thank you. Yes, if you go to campus planning website at UMass, under information you can use, you can get access to the Master Plan Explorer and the story map, which now we've actually recently had a request to update and go back and include projects that were from even further back than just really the master plan era. So that has been a pretty popular application. People have really liked that.
Okay, I have another question here from Graham Smith, and he asked about how your systems are linking to work management systems.
Well, we are now, again, spending a lot of money and resources on developing from our homegrown work management system to incorporating that integrated work management system into TRIRIGA. That's an ongoing process now. We've also just purchased eBuilder, which is a project management software. And on both of those, we are looking to do GIS integration, but again, we're sort of well, we got to do this first. GIS integration can wait. It'll come a little farther down the road. And so that's what I was about to say a minute ago. One of the things I'm trying to do is get funds to be able to do a strategic plan, because we sort of kind of all done this by the seat of our pants, and yeah, this is a good idea, we want to do this, and so I think we have a very good vision of what we want to do, and we have a lot of sound pieces of it, but what we really need now is the roadmap. We need to get the strategic plan to say, all right, we have to do this first, this next, and this next. We haven't been nearly as meticulous as you, Michelle, down at UK, and so we really wanted to get that roadmap in so that we can, and I think part of it is that GIS hasn't achieved the value in a lot of administrators' eyes because we've never really had to go through any major procurement process for it. I mean, we were always lucky that we managed the site license for the whole UMass system here. We've always had the software. We've had some people that could use it. And so, yes, we put a little money out for data in our flyovers, but because we've been working in coordination with the town of Amherst and Amherst College and other institutions, we haven't had to pay a whole lot of money for all of that stuff. So we really, unfortunately, I think that's part of the reason is we haven't really valued, we haven't nobody's really valuing GIS as a tool, and that gets me very frustrated because in my mind, as an enterprise system, it has so much capability to provide more value to the campus than any of these other systems because of that ability to use the data interoperability and FME workflows to bring in data from all these different sources. I really hope that you guys will be able to tune in May for that presentation, because what these guys have done with data interoperability is pretty amazing.
And you know I've been waiting on that one for a year, so I will be there for sure.
Right.
Now, Graham also wanted to say excellent work on what you're doing, and you got a great job from Peter Brigham, and you also got another question from Peter about discussing the data maintenance policies, especially the update cycles, and what's the level of effort required?
Well, I think that's one of our major stumbling blocks, and that's where you've done such a great job at UK, Michelle, and we're still struggling with that. But the basic philosophy is that the wonderful thing about data interoperability and FME is because you can take data from one native format and manipulate it and then turn it into another native format. Our philosophy has been that, okay, that's great, because then we can allow the people that own the data now to use the same systems and technology that they're using to create their data, and then we can just use the data interoperability stuff to be able to harvest that data, so that we're not disrupting their workflows, forcing them to learn new software, but instead we're enhancing the workflows and being able to harvest that data. Now, unfortunately, we haven't gotten quite, that's where, again, and Peter Brigham is great because he's just got to do a strategic master plan for his GIS, and so we would love to do the same thing, in that we really need to get upper administration to buy into that idea that we need support from administrators to help us implement a lot of these workflows, and saying, okay, yes, you guys do need to pay attention and work with these guys so that they can harvest your data, and then you'll get the reward back in a better product once you through the GIS and the tools to do your job better. So that's sort of the basic philosophy. That's the part that I said needs a lot more work, and where we want to do the strategic plan so we can get a little more buy-in from upper administration on this.
Well, where I see, I mean, you guys are so advanced with all you're doing with data interoperability, and I do want to remind you that this whole entire facilities showcase was because of you, because we, for folks out there, wanted to collaborate, and we didn't have the tools for me to see his screen, and so CFTA offered us the tools so that we can make this happen. So I really encourage everyone to go to the next UMass Amherst webinar in May. The next series of questions are about some of the student needs and the projects you work on to support them. I know that here at UK, we're kind of facing some of that challenge as to how do we support all these student projects. And you showed some great examples of how many that you're a part of. And so I guess my question is, how do you share your info, like your services, with university areas for student projects? And how do you stay involved in these projects, if at all?
Oh, now's when I wish I had my other colleagues in the same room with me, because Ludmilla is in the process of doing a student life master plan on campus, which is bringing all of those issues to the forefront, in that we have a whole lot of activities on campus and not a whole lot of space to do them in. So I think that process itself is becoming very informative on how to engage the campus. And in fact, we've hired a new graduate student researcher to work with us to help us out with our social media. So we're getting a complete revamp of our Facebook, Twitter, and blogs for campus planning. And so we see that social media as a very important way to communicate. And we're continuing on with one of the things we're doing is creating another application, kind of like the likes and dislikes applications that we did before, to be able to get some input from students about, what they need on campus and where they might want to do it. And again, that's the wonderful thing about the GIS is it ties information to places. And so people can say, well, here's where I like to do things, or this is where, boy, wouldn't it be ideal if we could do this. So we're continuing to try to get better with that. We're very lucky that we do get to work with a lot of students within our department, and we hire a lot of graduate students. And because when I first got here 8 years ago, I was amazed at what a huge rift there was between the operations side of the house and the academic side of the house. Having been here for a while, I certainly understand why that exists, but that's, again, the wonderful thing about all the sustainability efforts is that it really is helping align our missions from teaching, research, and operations. And so we all have something in common to be able to work together towards. So again, that's why I think sustainability is such a huge driving force in our GIS efforts going forward.
So here's a question on the makeup of your staff from George McLeod. And he asks, he's particularly interested to know your mix of full and part-time folks and how they break down along disciplines such as programming, GIS and mapping databases, systems administration, and so forth. And he also wants to say that your work looks great.
Thank you. Well, within the operations side of the house, on the administration and finance, we have administration and finance support services, and that's really the IT end of for operations. OIT is the overall campus technology group, but within the operations we have ANF systems. And that's where, when we did finally hire the one full-time GIS person, Alexander Stepanov, I was adamant that that person get placed within that IT infrastructure of administration and finance services, systems. He's really the only full-time GIS person, and we're very lucky in that he is one of these rare people that he has a bachelor's in computer science, a master's in regional planning, and a PhD in operations research. So he can get down under the hood and do the programming, but also see the big picture and understand why you need these tools. He does have some support in ANF systems with a couple of other developers, but they're primarily tasked with Tririga and the other enterprise systems that we're working on with Tririga. So, and I'm not real familiar with the rest of the ANF system staff. Within campus planning, we're a real mixed bag of landscape architects, planners, but it's nice we draw graduate students from a real mix of disciplines as well, from landscape architecture and regional planning to building construction technology and several other disciplines across campus. And so that gives us a real mix of people and talents, and I wish we had some more technical people. That's one of the things I really want to try to do is to get another programmer person behind Alexander Stepanov so that he can get some support to do the more fun things, the next generation stuff, and let somebody else finish off all the programming that needs to have to complete this one project. So that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but hopefully it gave you some information.
Sure, yeah. Hold on, Alexander. He is a keeper. Very impressed with that gentleman.
Yes, he
So
is.
he is. So here's a question from Lauren Weaver about balancing priorities. I think that is the pink elephant in the room. So how do you balance your priorities, and how much of your budget is funded versus recharge?
Oh boy. That is the big pink elephant in the room. And that's always the big difficulty that we face, being planners in campus planning, where we care and are concerned about so many different things, and there's so many great ideas that it's really difficult to keep your focus. And that's again why I lament the fact that there are some basic fundamental pieces of our foundation that we really haven't completed yet, and why we haven't rolled out as many applications to the general public as maybe we would have liked. We don't, it's, again, I guess, and it is pretty loosey-goosey in terms of how GIS is developed here at UMass, in that we don't do any chargeback. We pretty much provide all our services for nothing. And we do make a lot of maps, including a lot of hard copy maps for a lot of different people. And we do it because we like it, and we work well with other people. And maybe we do need to be a little more established in the way we go about it. But it's been a little loosey-goosey and less defined than maybe you'd find in a lot of other places. But then again, I've heard a lot of things about UMass are pretty ad hoc.
Okay, well, we have time for one last question. That was a good answer. I think that as we grow leaner and leaner moving forward, I think a lot of us are going to have to find answers to being more cost-effective and charging. But right now, it's just so new. I think for a lot of universities to embrace this, they have to kind of offer it away, right, to get people to use it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, the last question we have time for is about your thermal imagery across campus. And, where do you see the ROI in that, and what projects is that data being used to support?
That's operated out of design and construction management, so I'm not really sure on a lot of the economics of it in terms of the ROI, but we do every year, and we take pictures of both the steam system as well as the roofs on buildings, so that we can keep track of where we might have moisture in the roofs or leaks in the roofs. It's an important part of telling the story of when we need capital expenditures for our buildings and our steam infrastructure. So that's why we are tying into the GIS, so that we can sort of show it all together and to tell the story why we need to spend this money. Because as I'm sure everybody knows, the underground utilities aren't the sexy stuff that people like to spend money on.
Well, that was a wonderful wrap-up. We got in all of our questions. One last thought from George Daly was considering a story maps workshop at the CFTA conference in August, and I think that that's a novel idea. I think that story maps are something that are very attractive. They're easily pushed out. People get it. It's kind of an easy way to consume the visuals. So maybe we can talk about that later. And yes.
Well, I would agree. I've been all over story maps since the first geodesign conference that Ezra put on, where the keynote speaker talked about technology. And he said all the great technology through the ages, from language to the invention of the printing press to the internet to everything, it's all about storytelling.
It is. We got to be a good storyteller today to stick around. And you were a great storyteller today, Neil. So thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and get closing, unless you had any last words you'd like to say.
No, just thank you all very much. I apologize for the technical difficulties with the video, which I certainly wish you could have shown. But let's keep up the evangelism about GIS. I know it's frustrating that we don't. It doesn't often get valued as much as it should. But let's all keep up the good work, and I really appreciate this collaboration.
Yeah, cheers to that. Okay, so with that, I'd like to thank all attendees who joined us today. We had almost 60 in attendance, so that is an excellent turnout. The next webinar in the Geotech Showcase is scheduled for 11 a.m. on March 19th, and the presenter will be Devon Miller with Western Michigan University, who will be presenting on BIM for Facilities Management. For more information on future webinars in this series, please visit the CFTA website at www.cfta.org.